Before I get started, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. So this month marks the 30-year anniversary of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze. I'm going to get this out of the way right now. Based on pure nostalgia, I love this movie. It was a movie that I watched a lot growing up, especially with my mom, so it does have some sentimental value and that may affect how I view it. In fact, for the longest time, it was my favorite Ninja Turtles movie. I've since moved the 1990 original into that top spot, because that movie is highly underrated, but more on that another time. I'm here today to talk about its sequel, which for all its flaws, I still feel like it gets a little bit too much hate sometimes.
Fuck me, right?
For instance, let's look at the shill's consensus over at the garbage pile that is Rotten Tomatoes. First of all, they have the Michael Bay sequel, Book of Shadows, ranked higher than this movie, and only slightly below the 1990 original, which I think we can all agree is complete bullshit. Secret of the Ooze, in my opinion, gets more points just for being somewhat close to the original, even if it does scale back a lot on the more darker tone. And as for the critics' consensus on Rotten Tomatoes, it states not only is this movie's juvenile dialogue unbearable for adults, but the Turtles' dopey and casual attitude towards violence makes them poor kids' role models. Two things: a lot of kids' movies have juvenile dialogue, that's why they're fucking kids' movies. And I'm not going to a Ninja Turtles movie and expecting Quentin Tarantino dialogue.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
And as far as their casual and dopey attitude towards violence and the fact that they're not exactly good role models, well, for one, they're giant mutated turtles, and two, it's pretty well known that the violence was scaled back in this movie, and that was basically done to appease parents who complained about the violence in the 1990 original. So leave it to Rotten Tomatoes to state the obvious and overanalyze a Ninja Turtles movie.
Fuck you!
But anyway, on to my thoughts. I have to admit, I do wish they kept the darker tone of the original in this movie. I think it would have helped the sequel age just as well as the original has. And I think old school fans like myself would probably learn to appreciate it on that same level. In fact, I think if they really want to keep making Ninja Turtles movies, they should go the route of making sequels to these first two movies. That means ignoring Turtles 3 and definitely ignoring that Michael Bay nonsense. There's a lot of things in Turtles 2 that doesn't really age well, I agree. But one thing that did age very well is the animatronic suits. Practical effects in early Ninja Turtle movies has aged better than the CGI in the 2014 movie. In fact, the Ninja Turtles theme from these first two movies is great, the voice actors are all great, and they would all still work if they decided to bring it all back. Two big things about Turtles 2. One was the recasting of April, which didn't really bother me as a kid. I didn't really even notice it, to be honest. But as an adult, it is a bit awkward. I do think Casey Jones is sorely missed in the sequel, and I wish he could have been a part of it. And while I don't hate the new human character of Kano, who's meant to be an obvious replacement for Casey, it does seem like sometimes his character just exists, so Splinter can deliver exposition to him.
No.
There's one thing that's for sure though. Shredder was, and still is, fucking awesome. I can't stress enough how they nailed his whole design. Everything from the way he looks, all the way to his voice. It's absolutely perfect.
Revenge.
Tokka and Razor are a completely new set of characters that were created just for this movie. I remember thinking as a kid that it was weird that this wasn't Bebop and Rocksteady, but now I've kind of learned to appreciate Tokka and Razor on a different level, and I still think they're kind of a cool addition to Turtles lore.
Which one's the ugly one?
I like how this movie picks up pretty close to when the original left off. The Turtles are homeless and they're paranoid based on what happened in the last movie, so basically they have to find a new hideout before they're discovered by the general public or by the remaining foot members. One thing I think is cool about the story in this movie is that they managed to tie it into the origin of the Ninja Turtles. And they kind of further explain how exactly they came to be. And one of the deeper moments in the movie is when the Turtles, and specifically Donatello, start to question his own existence. And there's a great line in this movie from Splinter to Donatello where he says, "Don't confuse your origin with your self-worth." That one line is better than any meaning that they try to shoehorn into modern entertainment. I'm a Raphael guy, he's always been my favorite turtle, so I enjoy it when he gets stuck on these little side adventures. It usually happens after he succumbs to his hot-headedness and takes off, but it also usually comes back around to bite him in the ass, and it does in this movie as well. And again, he's taught the idea that they are stronger together.
Yeah, A little too rough. You guys, knock it off.
I think the part of the movie that people say didn't age well the most is probably the Vanilla Ice ninja rap sequence. And I have to be honest, it does date the movie quite a bit when you hear it. But I'd be lying if I said hearing that song doesn't bring me back to a simpler time in my childhood. A time when I didn't know any better and I actually believe I had ninja rap on cassette tape. Don't judge me. Super Shredder is another hotly debated point from this movie, and I know people give it a lot of shit, and yes, it is kind of ridiculous that his clothes and his armor also mutate with his body, but I still think he looks cool, and I remember it blowing my mind when I saw Super Shredder as a kid, even if it doesn't make that much sense as an adult.
He must have drank all of it!
Overall, I think Secret of the Ooze is a flawed but enjoyable movie. I think it manages to continue the story that was started in the first movie, and it isn't bogged down too much by the drastic change in tone. It's still enjoyable to me as an adult, maybe mostly through nostalgia. I would chalk it up as a guilty pleasure if I had a rating tier for that, but I don't, so I'm just going to have to give it a pleased Palpatine.
Good.
So have you seen Ninja Turtles 2 Secret of the Ooze? I'm sure you have. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. As always, please like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications, and I'll see you next time right here on Real Shift. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Y'all be cool. Right on.